Hey y'all, what's up? My name is Kimberly. Welcome to Wholesome Conversations, where we bring guests on to share their truth, share their testimony, share their walk with Jesus, all while keeping it pure, positive, uplifting, relatable experiences. And today we have Aleysia with us.
Hey y'all.
And she's going to be sharing her story. I know it's going to be relatable. Are you excited?
I am. I'm a bit nervous.
Okay.
But I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm not nervous. I'm excited.
There you go. There you go. So let's get into it. Okay,
right.
So we know your name, Aleysia.
Yes.
Share a little bit about where you're from.
So I'm originally from Miami, Florida. Born and raised. Majority of my family is from there as well.
Okay.
And I want to say I moved here when I was about 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you move?
I moved to, first it was Douglasville. That's
Okay.
where I first came.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Now I'm in Atlanta, you know. But yeah, been here. I moved away, came back. So now I've been here for about almost 2 years, going on 2 years over the summer. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So share a little bit about your upbringing as far as church, or how was your upbringing? Did you go to church? Was that part of your family dynamic?
So yeah, actually, my mom took us to church every Sunday. But see, my mom grew up in a church with my great grandmother where they didn't believe in a lot more than what they believe in now. Like, it was very strict. Like, girls couldn't wear jeans, couldn't hold hands with guys, like didn't believe in cell phones. So that's how my mom was raised, and I feel like she took that and kind of changed it. She didn't really want to raise us that way. But yeah, we were in church every Sunday. Like, I've witnessed my mom like in prayer. I've witnessed my mom have a prayer closet, and of course at that time I didn't know what it was, but definitely had Jesus at a young age.
Oh, that's so good. And would you say that upbringing of your grandmother in that church, did it impact you as a person and getting to know Jesus? Or were you more like hesitant, or were you more like, oh, I want to pursue?
So I think, so when I was a kid, I didn't really know any better. But as I got older, I noticed my great grandmother trying to push her beliefs on me. And once I came into my own, I was like, I don't believe in that. Like, I'm not going to accept that as my way of following Christ. My great grandmother is a very... She's a sweet lady, but she just believes completely different. So kind of took what my mom was trying to do. And then once I found Christ for myself, you know, made my own out of that as well.
Okay, so we'll transition into that. When did you begin to intentionally follow Christ? What year were you like? Because we can have that relationship and then we fall off. I call it a backslider.
Yeah.
When did you intentionally begin, okay,
That's a good question. Because I feel like people think that when you get saved, or like because you know who God is or who Jesus is, that you're automatically intentionally living for God. I think I want to say maybe 2020, 2021 is when I started to feel like I want my love life to reflect what Jesus desires for our love life to reflect. But even then, I still had moments where I was like backsliding and slipping up and making mistakes. So you're never going to be perfect, and that's what I had to accept. It's all about how hard you're willing to try and how much you're willing to do. So I want to say about 2020.
That's wow. Yeah. I think that year was a year for me. Like, that year was like,
yes.
And I know it wasn't coincidence.
Oh,
so many
absolutely
people
not.
like 20.
We don't believe in coincidence over here.
Coincidence who? No, or the universe. We don't do that. So I think that year was very like it shook a lot of people up.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so this is the juicy part. No. What was life like? So now we know that you're saved. We're gonna come back to that. Okay. But what was life like before getting saved? Let the people know.
Y'all should over there. Oh. And this is not to glorify living in the world or anything, but let's just keep it above.
We keep it pure.
Your girl was, y'all see
Listen.
me. Your girl was hanging out, okay? Even though I had a daughter, still have one. Even though I have a daughter, I still was going to the club, drinking, staying out late, having sex, good sex, bad sex. Sex didn't have no meaning. It was
the whole thing.
The whole shebang.
She's talking to y'all.
The whole shebang. Smoking, it was... But with that, in the world tries to glorify living in the world, make it look so crystal clear, like so clean, like so great. Mentally, spiritually, I was never happy. I was never happy because if the one thing that I was chasing after or was desiring was love. And we don't understand love until we have the love of Jesus Christ. So even though it looked like I was having fun, my spirit was not filled.
And I always say, if you have to keep doing it, it's not
working.
Not working.
It's not working.
You have to keep drinking. You have to keep smoking weed. You have to keep having sex. It's not going to fulfill you. So that's so real.
That's good.
Yeah, because there's people out there, who are in these predicaments, and you have to be very mindful of what you look at on social media and stuff. Like we can say, oh, they're just showing you parts of it, but a lot of these people are screaming for help. Yeah. And we don't realize it because we're just like, oh, look at that. So I appreciate that. Thank you. So you were out here.
Girl, I was out here. I was out there. I was out. Nah. I was young. I was 20, 21. I was doing what most people do, or what most people think they should be doing at that age, which is whatever they want.
And what we call is living.
Right.
It's
living
not
life. Living my best life.
You have to. That's why it's like, I want to be living. What is living?
What does that define?
Define living.
Yeah. And to whose standards? To whose standards? Because what other people do to please themselves, like this person can go out and drink and turn up with this, and that may be good for them, but that wasn't good enough for me because I know Jesus at a young age. Like my mom always put that in me. So at some point, God was going to call me back. It was just a matter of time.
He was going to call you back. So I always say, what was your Saul moment? We all know that Saul was on a road called straight to Damascus, and it just plucked up. He was on the way to kill Christians. Okay. So what was your moment where did you have a Saul moment, or was it voluntary? Like, Lord, I'm ready. Or was you on the road to do something crazy and he just, bloop?
I think
what was your turning? Yeah.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. And I think for me, it wasn't just one moment. It was a bunch of different moments. Okay. And I feel like after so many of those moments, because obviously they're not good moments, at least for me, you just get tired. You get weary. Like you said, if you have to keep doing it, it's not working. And after doing something for so long, you're trying to get a specific result, but you're not having any luck. I think it was just a bunch of like heartbreaks, a bunch of disappointment from people in the world, a bunch of frustration, a bunch of thinking that a man is going to stay because I slept with him. It was just, it was a bunch. And like, God knew. I feel like he just put a bunch of trials and tribulations in my life to finally get me to turn around. So,
and that's good. And I'm sure like in those moments, he was like, there's signs and red flags. Because speaking to my women, we know. We just try to change. We try to transform.
If you know, you know.
We be knowing. But God's goodness and his grace. It's just like, I can just go back in times, what I can remember. I was in a certain place and I'm like, why was I late? I don't know why I was late, but God was protecting me from something. So we can account all the times where he's just been patient. Listen.
Graceful, merciful.
All of that.
It's undeserving, truly.
Yes. So, okay. So that was your moment where you was just throwing the towel in 2020. Anything specific happened, or was it just like, because you say you've been intentionally pursuing Jesus since 2020.
Okay. So I would say this. So dating my daughter's dad at a young age.
How old's your daughter?
She's 5.
She's 5.
And me and him living together and like, you know, and I speak on abstinence and like sex because everybody has their thing, right? Everybody has their demon. For me, that was my thing. And just like having sex and like living up under the same roof and being in a relationship, and it was one of the longest relationships I've ever been in. Once I found out I was pregnant, I think that was the moment that I decided if I'm not going to do it for myself, I need to at least do it for my daughter. And then everything after that was just a bunch of confirmations. Like, even though I fall, I got to keep getting back up. And so, like I said, I've made mistakes. My daughter was born 2017. Made plenty of mistakes from that point, but I always knew that there was something deeper in me that was calling me to be better than who I was before I decided. That makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Maybe I know I was pregnant.
And that was, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that moment. And that's going to be a good segue into the next question. But before that, I know there are people who are wanting to be abstinent and choose abstinence and just have one hiccup. And now it's like, maybe they end up pregnant. And now it's like, you know, like, God, does he still love me? And God still loves us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's nothing that we can do that will demise that or make it go away.
Never.
And that's just the trick of the enemy. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And the Genesis opens up with deception. His first presentation to us was through deception. So just understanding that, you know, God still loves us and he knows like his grace is sufficient. Now that's not an excuse to abuse his grace.
Absolutely.
But trust me, when my time coming to share, I'm gonna share.
Yeah.
But okay, that's so good.
For anyone out there who's watching or listening, like who's in the situation that Kimberly just explained about, you know, being abstinent and ending up pregnant, that was once me. And not too many people in the group know this. Not too many people in my life know, but I actually ended up pregnant while being abstinent. And fear will drive you to do a lot of things that you regret.
Yes.
And I did not keep my baby. I chose to abort my baby because I was so afraid. But for anyone who's watching, I'm surprised I can even talk about it now without crying. That just goes to show you how God can take something bad and turn it into good. Keep your baby. There is nothing that we can do in this world that can separate us from the love of Jesus Christ. It does not matter. If Saul was finna go kill Christians, you can have that baby. Yeah. Because there's so much love and grace on the other end of that. And although you can't see it, it won't always look how it looks right now.
That's so good. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
It gets real.
It gets so real. And this is what I want. Like, there are people wonder why they haven't been freed from things. Yeah. You haven't shared. Yeah. You haven't been open. You don't know what you sharing can do. Like, it's a move of God. That's why I'm all for just listening sometimes. So thank you for sharing that. Wow, that's so good. Okay, so now that we know this, let's transition into you on this journey. Okay. You saved, okay? So like, let's just go. People think that Christians are like perfect. And I will say this. There are some Christians out there that, I'm this, you know, like, they can't do no wrong. And they've seen that. Yeah. And they've looked at that and they're like, okay, that's what I have in my mind of a Christian. Yeah. But we all know that it's not true. And even myself, when I said yes to Jesus in 2020, like intentionally, I was like, oh, I didn't know all this. You know, like, I thought it was going to be easy, you know. So we have this misconception of what the walk looks like. So since 2020, you said yes. What are some obstacles you've dealt with, whether it be temptation, sexual temptation, whether it be minds, like, and it's also something, thank you, Holy Spirit, just reminded me, literally, like, it's about fear, something you said about fear. We'll come back to that. I'll take a mental note of that. What are some things that you've endured on your walk with Christ that you've overcome? That I've overcome. Because look at you now.
That I've overcome. I want to say for the most part, I've definitely overcome the sexual temptation, like the sex behind it. Like going on, I think the 17th makes 6 months that I've been abstinent. Intentionally abstinent now, like, but
and I'm sure it hasn't been easy.
It's not easy. I still get tempted, and there's still times where I like backslide, but it has not been actual sex. So I'm grateful for that because, like I said, that was what I battled with. There's been a bunch of things, some things that I'm still working through. I feel like now that I've kind of gotten a hang of that, I feel like now the devil is trying to attack like who I am as far as like my emotions and like my anger, like and it's crazy because my mom actually dealt with that when I was a little girl, like, so you'd be surprised like how many things the devil can like try to wake up inside of you that you don't even know are there. So, but
it's generational.
Absolutely.
And it's not anything you said, let me pick anger, let me pick this, let me pick this. No, but it's wrong. It's something that we inherit and we got to deal with. And it's like, it's good that you're aware and you know that. So I hear sexual temptation, you've dealt with that. And what are some ways that you have, I guess, dealt with it or fleed from it? Because the Bible tells us to flee. I mean, you ran out the room screaming, yelling, help me. Did you do that? Because we want people to know, like, it happens.
It happens.
You're human. Your body is working, right? Hopefully. So when it happens, how do we flee from it?
That is a good question. I would say this, the Lord will always give us a way to flee. Like he's going to give you, if you're being tested, one, it's not coming from the Lord, it's coming from the devil.
Yes.
But if you're being tested, it's because God knows that you can pass that test. Now, whether you do or don't is up to you. But a couple things that I've done, it's about to get a little real, but years ago, I used to have a vibrator. And when I first started trying to walk the walk, I threw it out. I never, like, I just, like, one day it just has to go. Like, I can't. So threw it out. An accountability partner. Me and my sister lived together, and she's also Christian. So there would be times where we, like, one would lean on the other would lean on one. And then joining this group, community. You cannot do this alone.
Yeah.
And so many people think that, I have to get myself ready before I meet God. I have to change this. Come as you are. And if you can find a group of people, or maybe just one person that can help you to be better than who you already were. They know what you're trying to work towards. Stick to that. Like, stop trying to. Satan got so many. Even Satan does things in community. All them demons that empty got down there. Why do you
look? Aleysia knows. Listen.
We can't do this alone. That as well. Being honest with myself. I'm a sexual being. I'm very pretty. I love sex. But I'm not going to lie and act as if, like, that's just something I have to push down. Like, God made us this way for a reason. This is how we reproduce. This is how we have children. This is how we create life. So it's not a bad thing. But be honest with yourself. Like, don't cover up who you are. Find a way to deal with who you are in a Christ-like way. Church, of course, reading my Bible, many different things. Sometimes you have to isolate yourself. You have to move stop going to places that you don't go to anymore.
Yes.
Stop hanging around people that you hung around. And that hit me pretty hard. A lot of what I thought I wanted in a relationship before I got saved, and then right after I got saved, looks completely different from what I look for now or what I want now. So it's just a bunch of uprooting and then replanting. And
I will say, like, the enemy's goal is to make something good bad, because sex is good in the right context. Yeah. In marriage.
Yes. God, and it's protection.
It's worship. Yeah. Literally. So it just goes to show, like, how something like sex, the enemy knows.
Heck yeah.
Very strategic.
Girl.
Very strategic. And it's only by God's grace he hasn't taken a lot of us out. So that's really good. And something else I was going to say. So really just being intentional. I love what you said about throwing things away. Yeah. Because I was just talking to someone about my brother-in-law or something. He was like, I thought you had an Apple Watch. And I was like, I did, but it was a gift from an ex. And when I started in 2020, I threw away stuff. People were like, girl, I threw away AirPods. Yeah. I threw away a necklace. Yeah. I threw away Apple Watch. Yeah. I threw away Uggs. All of that. It's stuff. I just recently did a cleanse. I went to Haiti in 2020 with an ex, and I had a little carving. I had a picture up here. If you noticed the other day, it was empty. I didn't have peace about it. And anything I'm not having peace about, I'm getting rid of it. Yeah. So I got rid of the picture. I don't know what it was. I just got rid of it. I got rid of the little cup. So you have to be intentional. And I always say being intentional and being honest. Yes. Yeah. That's what you need.
The Lord can work with honesty. Yeah. But if you're hiding who you are and what you're dealing with, what you're going through, what you need help with, how can we meet the needs when we don't know, you're not being honest about what the needs are? So definitely.
That's so good. Yeah. And it says God looks at our heart, and the enemy knows what he looks at. So he tries to lead us. Oops, sorry. He tries to stray us away from God. You have to be very intentional with your quiet time, reading, whatever works for you. Have to. You have to. Okay, so awesome. Well, good. I would share. You said something about uprooting and rooting. You were just like, it's like you know us something. You just listen. That's crazy.
I'm like, Lord, you need to use this for whatever you want to use it for. Yeah, uprooting and replanting.
Lord, she got the 411. Okay, so what is the importance? We're going to close with this. What is the importance of being rooted? Rooted in Christ? Because you can be rooted in a lot of things, but what is the importance of being rooted in Christ and also uprooting things that is not pleasing to God? What's the
For
importance?
me, the importance is my peace, my sanity. You can get all that you need from Christ because he is plentiful. He lacks nothing. There's nothing that God can't serve you with. But for me, it's my peace. It's peace. It's peace of mind. It's peace of self. It grounds you unlike anything else. We sometimes feel like there's so much to be distracted by.
Yes.
There's so much to take our attention and try to make us feel complete. But for me, it's the peace. There is nothing in this world that the world can give me that supplies me as best as Jesus does. So, like I said, my thing was sex, but everybody has their own thing. But regardless of what it is, the Lord can meet you there.
Yeah.
Like, you'll find your importance in that. But for me, it's my peace of mind. I have a very active, vivid mind. My mind will run a mile a minute about things that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So my peace of mind is sacred.
Yes. And that's your importance of being rooted. And what's the importance of uprooting? Maybe those seeds that were planted in childhood or just different experience you've had that impact who you are today as a person. Yeah. So we can be rooted, but you have to
uproot first. Yeah. You can't plant over a seed that's already there. Yeah. Like in every
hold on. Go back. Repeat that. Repeat that.
You can't plant over a seed that's already there. And every seed that you plant, whether it's good or bad, like poison ivy. Poison ivy is horrible for the skin, but it's still a plant. It still started from a seed. Regardless of what you plant, it has the ability to grow. So uprooting, it just gives you clearer ground. It gives you healthier soil. It makes room for Jesus to grow within you. That's what it does. That's what it does.
And we're done.
That was from God.
And we're
literally,
because that was so good.
Yeah,
that was so good.
You have to uproot, and it doesn't all have to be at once. It doesn't all have to start in the same exact place. But as long as you have that, like you have that will to change things, to remove things, like God is gonna work with you. He's gonna meet you there.
Wow, that's so. That's the message. I'm like thinking like that's a message for me.
Round 2. Come on, David.
Y'all, this is her. See, love it. We love it. So, okay, in closing, anything you want to share to women who may watch this, who may have had those same circumstances, who may be watching this in their predicament right now? Anything you want to share with them? Anything in closing? Whatever the Holy Spirit leads you to say.
It won't always look like this. You won't always feel like this. You won't always hear this. Like, take your first step towards Jesus, and I promise you, you will not fall. If you're looking for anyone or anything to catch you, Jesus is more than enough. But it won't always look like this. Don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. Get out of your head. Get out of your emotions. Trust God with everything that you have. Even if you don't know what that looks like, even if you don't know what it feels like, start small. Don't expect to be perfect because you'll never be perfect, but you'll always be more than enough for Jesus.
That's good. That's good. Well, thank you so much for being transparent and sharing. Like, honestly, I know it's something you said. If somebody's gonna be, like I know it because it's your story, and we share our story the best. So. Thanks for watching, you all. I hope there's something that was said that you can relate to. Yeah. And we'll see you next time on Wholesome Conversations.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.